Hey, Volker.
Hey, Dean.
Before we get started, what the heck is a fractional CMO?
Even so, I question myself sometimes about that too, but I see myself kind of, in quotation marks, as a contract killer. So, most likely, a fractional CMO will be hired when a company has outsourced or sourced all their employees and doesn't get traction. And then they are falling back to possible and senior level marketing expert
Mm-hmm.
and say, how can you help? Can you help? And I think that's when you as a fractional CMO can come in and own portion of the task.
Okay. So then let's set up a hypothetical, like we always do in this podcast. Today's day one of a brand new client engagement. Tell me about, from your perspective, what the first 90 days are like, and also let the audience know a little bit about you, other than the fact that you are murder for hire.
Well, I'd hope that they are not seeing it really picturesely. So, my name is Volker Jaeckel, or the industry knows me as VJ. I'm a German native, so that accent you hear is not from Boston at all. And I came around about 24 years ago to the United States and started out in sales. And I did prior in Germany the same thing, sales and marketing, and then grew into my roles as a CMO, fractional CMO, etc., etc. So, and when position were open as fractional positions, I was contacted that people said, "Hey, how can you help? We tried everything, etc." So, and I always, this is actually really one of my phrases. I say, "Okay, just give me 100 days, and we will turn it around."
Yeah.
And it's nice that you refer to the 90 days because that's around about the time frame it takes to see traction and success. And the first thing what I always do is gather my troops, right? So just almost like a new general on a ship is getting all his officers on board in one room and sees what kind of characters I do have, what kind of skill set I have, and then see and of course make notes where we maybe can tighten the screw a little bit more. In addition, in the first 90 days, I will talk to all the vendors we are using. I want to see the contracts. I want to see, do we spend too much money? Do we get what they promise they deliver? And since I have not really a personal skin in the game, but a skin in the game for my CEO who hired me possibly, I'm going in and of course look at the cost structure. Do we really everything the right way? And then creating out of these first, let's say, 2-3 weeks, a roadmap, see shortcomings, hopefully, where we maybe can dig in with a thumb and say, okay, did we ever think about that? No, obviously not. It's not there. So who can help? A, from my staff, who I hopefully inherit, or who can we utilize as a third party? And then we are going methodically, step by step, for a new action taken. Not always the same old, same old. I'm always very progressive and I want to see what else is there. And did we really tick off every check mark? That's how I see my first 90 days.
Okay. So, John, what do you think? Imagine today's day one. You're just starting a brand new client engagement, brand new client even, right? What do the first 90 days look like when you kick off?
So I guess I want to lean in first and kind of answer the what is a fractional CMO, because I think it's similar to VJ, but not necessarily the same. So the way I describe myself is the most senior marketer in a business, but on a timeshare basis. So I am your CMO. I'm part of a reporting line into the CEO. I just work less than 5 days a week.
True.
And so, for me, when I first get into a new hire, there's four things that I'm looking at mainly. So the first thing is kind of unpacking what's been done before, where we're at, what success we've had, what failures we've had, what the strategy and the execution is. I want to get deep down into the research, presuming that we have good market research, and if we don't, probably looking to commission it. so that we can understand properly the market, its dynamics, the customers, and where the brand can play to win. Otherwise, it's just guesswork, right? I absolutely agree with VJ on the priority, though, is dealing with the troops. So for me, understanding and where necessary, kind of fixing the culture, internal dynamics. So, your team both up and down the chain. I think it's important to see where there's toxic influences, maybe broken relationships, and make sure that everyone's firing on full. To be clear, if there's a cancer, it needs to be cut out. But usually you've just got a disconnect where someone needs a little bit of help finding their position in it. And then from there, I'm looking to prioritize what I'm going to be showing and doing over 30, 60, and 90 days. So they don't necessarily have to all be big ticket things, but I think you need to be showing some kind of performance, because the reality is a senior new hire is quite often eyed with suspicion at the top and from beneath. Maybe you've got other internal folk who saw themselves as being that top of the marketing chain. So you've got to build your alliances up and down the chain, and make sure that you're in a position to lift everyone up with you and lift the business up with everybody.
And did you tell folks a little bit about you?
So I'll do that now. So I'm John Lyons. I'm a fractional CMO. I was actually an architect before I moved into marketing about 25 years ago, originally through digital. But I spent a lot of time in the agency world. Then I moved into kind of B2C, including on the loyalty program at the Lego Group, which was a great time. And then I moved into B2B. I think B2B is something that suits me really well. I like the work. I like bringing organizational experience. And what I like most and think is most important in a marketing role for business is that kind of alignment with marketing and sales. It's about creating and generating revenue.
Right. All right. So then stick with me for a second, John. We talked about the first 90 days and what you do and sort of the first 90 from the CMO's perspective. If I'm the CEO, I probably had to convince somebody, even if it was just my alter ego, right, as CEO, to allocate enough spend to bring in a fractional CMO for a year, let's say, right? So how am I getting sort of maximum value out of that fractional CMO in the time that he's going to be there in this case?
You're not letting me sleep, Dean. You're not letting me sleep. That's what it is. No, I think it's kind of one of the things that I really like about the fractional CEO role is, unlike a full-time hire, where you can quite often just be a seat filled and seen as a free resource, and even at a senior level get dragged into all sorts of different things. Right. You're a high ticket expense, and it's as I said, it's a kind of part-time expense. So keep me focused on only the things that I can do. Don't let me get dragged down, and certainly don't push me down into things that can be done more cost effectively elsewhere. There's lots of things that I can do. I was a professional cleaner at one point in my life when I was at university, but don't get me to clean the offices. Let me focus on this senior business marketing role. So, kind of work with me or enable me to develop a one-year strategy, identify the objectives and the key results that are going to deliver what the business needs over that period of time, and hold me to them. And, kind of the ideal scenario is that we kind of build a relationship where you let me come to you for input rather than, having to look over me or backseat drive, because A, it doesn't really work for me, and B, you probably got two of the highest ticket people in the business doubling up on something that really doesn't need it. So it's not the best use of resource. So get the plan out there and hold me to it, and give me support, but also question me.
All right. And Volker, let me invert that question a bit. All right. How do companies, CEOs, how do they typically waste the money that they spend on their fractional CMO? What do they should stop doing, or what do they not do that they needed to do to get best value? How do they waste the money?
A, where he starts and where he wants to go to point B. And so I'm somewhere in the middle. And before I even would acknowledge and say, okay, I come on board as a fractional CMO, I want to make sure that we are on the same page here. I want to know exactly what happened in the past, what happened to the guys in the past who did it, why didn't it work out, he thinks. So, and when I feel like a pattern that maybe the impatience of a lot of CEOs who don't really know the business too big in a chief marketing officer role. They're getting impatient. And so I want to make sure that we are, from the get-go, very clear. When you put me as a captain for your vessel on board, I will steer it. I need to have 100% buy-in. He can trust me on my results, what I showed by other companies prior. And he will see the same or even better results. He just let me drive or steer the steering wheel. And John said it right. I don't want to be in a backseat and want to look over my shoulder and say, okay, maybe he doesn't like it. And no, 100% buy-in. That's how we need to do it. When he is okay with that, and we have, let's say, 1-year contract, then let me handle it. And we will see results. So I'm very determined on this one. I will not veer off of it. When somebody says, well, what if, it's already an alarm sign for me, so I wouldn't do it.
Okay. So let's talk about this then. I'm still that CEO, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at my marketing department, marketing team. I've got some staffers, probably some junior folks, some mid-level folks. They've probably had supervision or management, but probably never like anyone at the leadership level before, right? And so if I'm looking at them today, because it's your first day, and I'm thinking about like the end of your supposed tenure, maybe a year out, right? 12 months. How's that team going to be different or ideally even better a year from now than what they are today on day one, now that you've been there for like 12 months?
So what he can expect is when we have sorted out, as Ron said in the beginning, cancer. So, and let's say we are sorting out maybe the bad apples when they any exist. So let's say we have now a team assembled, which is firing on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. So that means for him that he has a longevity in his group. He has a full direction following crew who knows exactly where this ship is going. And we've turned somehow to the ship. I don't know why, but it's today. So, and what he can expect is that he has now becoming a senior marketing level team who was guided by a senior CMO who now see the vision, what it takes to get to the next step. And I think that should be alone also an excitement for the company itself, because we know new hires cost always more money than, having people on the same boat and get going. And I think this is one of the biggest aspects, so that the company has suddenly calm waters and it's firing on all cylinders. And that's what also is a benefit nobody really sees, because we are putting the right people in the right place, that we have everybody doing their job as they should do. Now he doesn't have to worry about it. The ship is running. The year contract is over. The numbers are up. People are happy. And now you can promote from within.
Okay. That's good. So, John, what do you think? How's that team? How's my marketing team going to be different or better a year out?
So I think one of the things it does, by default, really, is it shows the value that the business has for marketing. And I think we've been going for an era, and this is a discussion that's been going on quite a lot with. There's a peer network I'm involved with called CMO Circle, and we've been talking over the last week about CMO, CGO, CRO. Where do we sit, and why is it that the CMO has perhaps been pushed down the ladder a little bit? And we can talk another time about why that might be, but I think kind of having someone that actually has the M in their title up at the C-suite level is a huge show that marketing is being believed in. Right. Now, equally, it might be seen by people in the marketing team as a threat. There's always the opportunity. There's always the possibility that someone will come in and they'll want their own people, or someone will come in and they might not like me. You just don't know when you're kind of settled in there. But ultimately, what it should do is empower the marketing team, give focus and direction. And personally, I've always kind of said that it kind of gives the team a bit of a scapegoat if things go wrong. So if I'm setting out my agenda and I'm asking people to follow along with me, if mistakes are made, I will take the brunt of that. I've never in my career thrown anyone under the bus. In fact, I've got a very long-term colleague who didn't quite say it this way, but in effect kind of insinuated that I'm the best person he's ever worked with for dealing with clients and protecting the team. What he actually said was quite a lot more robust, shall we say. But I think you're empowering people and you're giving marketing a voice at the top level. And so, it's a massive opportunity and an exciting opportunity for people that maybe, let's say, have been in a product-based business to actually have an impact at the top level and have a direct line of command to the board. So, I think it should be seen as a massive kind of support and investment in marketing.
Okay, then let's stick with those staffers for a minute then, sort of. So let's imagine that your friend comes to you and says, "Hey, John, you've told me like 4 times what you do for a living. I don't really understand it, but I know it's something high up in marketing. My kid just graduated from college and is starting their first ever marketing job at a company. They're the most junior marketer at that company. That company just hired a fractional CMO. Like I said, I don't know what you do for a living, but I know that's your title. So, like, do you have any advice for that, like my kid, that junior person in a marketing group, about what, if anything, they should do or not do, or try to learn or not do, not try to learn, while that fractional CMO is there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive opportunity to learn. It's going to come down to the personality and the time as well. If you've got fractional CMO that's working fractionally 1 day a week, they're going to have less time for kind of having sit down chat time with the junior than they would do if they were doing, let's say, 3 days a week. So there are practical factors in there. But for me, I have always wanted to understand where people might want to go, even if they don't. So, to find out what their skills are, what their interests are, what they're keen to improve on or move into, and talk from my experience and share from my experience as to how that might help them. So, kind of, one of the things that I'm proudest of in my long and grey-haired, squiggly career is that I've helped a lot of young marketers start their career and move on to bigger and better things. And it's always a wrench when they leave. But ultimately, when I see that they've gone up onto something that's either at a significantly more valued company or usually also at a higher role, I celebrate that. So, example, one of my first hires ended up being the best man at my wedding. And he was later a business partner. You build trust, you build relationships with these people, and you want to see them do well. And ultimately, I think if you can help people be better marketers, not only will the company have a better marketer there, you're probably likely to keep that person in seat for longer than if you just let them sink or swim. So, again, personally, I mentor. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. I love teaching. I've taught on the architecture course that I studied on to start with. I taught a master's course at the National Film and TV School. I work with disadvantaged kids on developing workplace skills. I could talk chapter and length about all of these things given the chance, and probably someone would need to tell me to shut up and get on with my job a little bit. But if I can help someone be a better marketer, then that's something I would want to do. And I think it's a case of assessing how much time the fractional has got to see if you can just have a coffee with them. Because one thing that's really important and has served me well is just speaking to people, connecting with them, using LinkedIn to stay connected, because you never know where that person's going to be and you never know where you're going to be in future. So get from it what you can without becoming a burden. But there's a lot to learn.
Okay, that's good. Volker, I keep changing the questions on you. I want to change the question a little bit. Imagine that you get a chance to talk. Imagine there's 2 Volkers, right? Something weird happened, Star Trek style, and you're both alive today, except the other you is 24, just graduated university, starting a career in marketing. What would you tell you if you were just starting out in marketing today for a career?
Yeah. Beautiful question. And I do another reference. Be like SpongeBob. Be a sponge. This is, in my opinion, the most important thing in today's world, and where the youth sometimes is missing out. Because since we are so connected all over, if that is TikTok and this, and you see everywhere marketing content, and suddenly you know it all, right? You are suddenly the number one, even so you just started out. So when I would be, talking to my 24-year-old, when I say, hey, listen, just slow down. And there's a reason why an elephant has so big ears, right? Because he's listening. And that's what needs to happen. So be a sponge. Get in everything what you can, and decipher it later at home or write it in a notebook, right? Learn and learn and learn, because what they're teaching you in college, yeah, it's very valuable, depending on which school you're going to. But lifetime reality happens right now from 8 to 5 or whatever your hours are in the office. And also compared to, like, you have the chance to play together on the green with Tiger Woods, who is a very good putter. And just look how he stands. Look how he puts down the ball. And that's the same for the marketing role. Look how he speaks to the vendors. Look how he speaks to the other ones. How he coaches or mentors the co-employees. That's what needs to happen. Pick his brain. John said, all right, maybe, hopefully invite him for a coffee. Hey, I'm going to Starbucks. Can I bring you something? And would you mind to have 15 minutes for me when he's in the office, or when you have a chance to talk to him personally? So be a sponge. That's what I'm saying. Be a big sponge. Get more in. And then you bring it out later, and then the substance would come out. That is where you want to really dig in and say, you know what? I love that style. So that's how I see it.
Okay, so now I want to. Excellent answer. So now we have to wind down. We're running out of time. There's a couple of things I wanted to touch on with both of you. So we'll start with you, Volker, so that John gets a little bit of a heads up, and then we'll switch to John. Sure. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask John a question. Just like I don't know if anyone watching. All the guests are randomly paired. Like, we don't curate this person should go with it. Like, it's randomly paired, and part of that is sort of the energy you get and different viewpoints of having two random people show up in the same profession doing roughly the same work. So I'm going to ask you to ask John a question, but before you ask John a question now, and John can start formulating his question, right, for you, is there are easier ways to make a living, Volker? Right? There are easier ways
to make a living?
There are easier ways to make a living than being a fractional CMO.
Oh.
So why?
Go ahead.
Why?
Oh, why? Okay. So
you could have a nice cushy corporate job somewhere, never have to think up stuff, hardly ever have to solve a problem. Why do this?
Yeah, I could also buy a bicycle and a carrier and live on the street. It's the same, right? It's an easy living. But here's the thing. Marketing is, for me, one thing. It's passion. And when you're passionate, and you have even sometimes maybe a dry spell, and you have maybe not a client, or at this point an assignment, it still is in your head, always there. You think about, oh my God, I saw just this advertising or this style, and how could they maybe enhance it? Also, I'm constantly, and that's my problem. Luckily, my head is not too big, but I'm constantly thinking, right? And normally it should be like this. So I feel like the passion is driving me. And that's why I decided to do this as my career. Fractional CMO, coaching, mentoring people. This is what I'm born to. And listening to my ex-employees and also real employees, they always said the same. I never felt that I was talking down to. I never felt that I was just told to. You always coached. You always showed a reasoning. And that shows me as a human, that's what I need. I need the interaction. I need to see the results for the other guys who are doing their job so that I can praise. And that's what I live for. And I think it's almost like a drug. So that's why I do it.
Okay. And what would you ask John?
Yeah, because he is in one of my favorite countries, England, right? The United Kingdom. And how is the market there? How is, especially in digital marketing, because I just talked to an Austrian colleague a week ago, and he said he has really problems to still tell people why marketing, digital marketing, is so important. And I always was scratching my eyes out. So how is that in England? Is it more progressive? Is it what you see, maybe, John?
That's a really good question, Vijay. Thank you. So I think what we see here is that there's probably three swim lanes that we see marketing being done. There's the people that don't believe in marketing at all. So I think in this kind of recent kind of creator technology and kind of tech bro era that we're in, there are people that are developing fantastic products and are still working on the assumption that that advertising is a tax on them having a bad product. So we've got people that aren't really doing any kind of well, they're doing marketing. They don't understand that the planning is marketing still, but they're not doing execution. Then I think we've got a lot of people that are only doing performance marketing, which is probably more the digital side of it, and aren't really investing enough in brand awareness and awareness marketing, which is something that I feel quite strongly about. And then we've got a third channel where you've got more of a mix of those two things. So I've got a couple of compatriots over here, Les Binet and Peter Field, who've talked about long and short marketing. And they've kind of shown that investing in brand whilst running performance is how you get the best return on marketing investment rather than ROI, if you see what I mean. And so what we're seeing at the moment is lots of swimming and shifting, and not so much arguments, but learning, swaying between those channels as to what most drives effective marketing. So I think one of the things that we have here, and I hear this from Fergus O'Carroll, who's a kind of US-based podcaster. He talks quite often about how marketing effectiveness seems to live in the UK and Australia, but hasn't made its way to the US. So we have lots of arguments about marketing effectiveness that you might not have had so much. And I'm not going to speculate on the reasons for it. I think there's absolutely no doubt that there's no more mature market and more mature advertising market than the US. But the focus on effectiveness does seem to have come from Australia and then over to here. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where it sits at the moment. It's in flux. It's fascinating. It's interesting. As a marketing nerd, I get my nerd on. So I really enjoy that.
Very nice.
And John, so like, why, I think you may have just answered it, but like, why do you do this job? And what's your question for Volker?
Oh, okay. So why do I do this? So I after my long career, I don't think I'm equipped to work in any other format, to be perfectly honest. So my experience, my knowledge, and I think my clarity on increasing revenue being the ultimate gain of marketing, is worth a lot to my clients. So I understand the value that I have, and I also understand that actually, things should be done properly, not necessarily always my way, but properly. And but also, I'm now at a stage where I value myself a little bit more. I don't want to be caught up in political arguments at work, kind of petty little things that kind of happen when you're day to day in the office. And I like being able to take some downtime every now and again. So it means that I can come in, make a real difference. I don't feel threatened. So I can make tough decisions, or I can call stuff out that maybe someone in-house wouldn't feel confident to do. And at the end of the day, I can go and share my expertise elsewhere and learn all along the way. So it's the perfect balance for me of kind of making a difference, but not living on the job.
Not living on the job. All right. And what's your question for Volker then?
So my question for Volker is, what have you learned since you started as a fractional CMO that you wish you knew when you started as a fractional CMO?
What I have learned, I should have started earlier. So, because, there is a reason why I have a gray beard and gray hair. It didn't come from the fractional work. So it definitely has to do what you just mentioned. You like your downtime here and there, of course, too. But when you are employed as a marketing, whatever, senior marketing director, VP of marketing, you just have these little battles, and you know, it's almost like a nagging partner at home. So it's like, really, do I need to explain again what a KPI is? And so these are the things where it drives you nuts, right? Because you say, wait a moment, it's like Groundhog Day, you know, over and over, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you hit the alarm clock. And I think that's what I have learned that I should have done earlier. That I just, but you're getting not complacent, but you're getting comfortable to have a nice salary, and you don't have to really stretch. But of course, you stretch and work, but you know, you get your income. But now I see there's so much more freedom. There is so much more where you can also be more creative, right? As a fractional CMO, and that's what I think it's a value, and that's why I think I should have done earlier. That's it. That's the answer.
Fair enough. Okay, so guys, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much, Volker. Who should contact you these days? What kind of clients, and how should they do it?
Yeah, who actually really, of course, businesses who are seeing somehow, especially in our today's world, how the market somehow shifted. You know, customer loyalty is down, customer lifetime value is down, and how can we really hone them back in to make business with us? That's, let's say, as a business owner, he would ask. And I think I have a very good grasp on how to figure out what is really right now needed in the market. So whoever has a company who has a little bit a rough road, get me in as a fair skin in the game guy who has a very objective view, and go from there. And I think that would be the best marriage.
And how?
Oh, how they contacted me? Yeah, I have an email address, and my last name is a little bit difficult, but I can spell it: Jaeckel, Jaeckel at Focal Point Coaching. As I said, I'm doing fractional CMO work, but I'm also a business coach and help all kind of situation when the business is somehow in slowdown.
Cool. All right. And John, who should contact you these days, and how do you want them to do it?
So if you're a professional service business, you know, a B2B scale up maybe, or even an agency, and your marketing isn't pulling enough cash into your business, get in touch. So you can find me at johnlyons.co.uk is my website. john@johnlyons.co.uk is my email address. You'll find me on LinkedIn, and you'll find me at Johnny Ego on Twitter.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been fantastic. A lot of good questions, a lot of great answers. That was
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so
Been a
much.
lot of fun.
And thanks for watching. You're probably watching this on a clip like virtually everyone else. And so we hope that we were able to entertain you in some way. And look around. There's lots more clips with Volker and John floating around the internet by the time you view this. See you later. Bye.